The Imperial chamber erupted into chaos as Empress Zarathel collapsed onto her crystalline throne. Her silver skin flickered with erratic pulses of bioluminescence, patterns that no Calvorian should ever display, wild, uncontrolled, threatening. "The Empress is dying," Prime Advisor Zelam shrieked, his forearms flailing in panic. "Call the medical team. Seal the chamber." "It's an assassination," hissed Defense Coordinator Threll, mandibles clicking frantically. "Check for toxins. Lock down the palace." Oliver stood perfectly still at his post near the entrance, the only human among the Empress's elite guard. While 20 advisors from a dozen species scrambled and shouted, each convinced they understood the crisis unfolding before them, he watched, and he saw something they didn't. The Empress wasn't dying. She was fighting. "Security Chief." Zelam spun toward Anna, the human head of the Imperial Guard. "Do something." Anna had already moved to Oliver's side, her hand hovering near her weapon but not drawing it. She'd worked with Oliver long enough to read his body language. "What are you seeing?" she asked quietly, trusting his assessment over the cacophony of alien panic. "Watch her breathing pattern," Oliver murmured. "It's controlled, deliberate, and look at her lower left hand. See how her fingers are moving?" Anna's eyes narrowed. The Empress's fingers were indeed moving, tracing the same small pattern repeatedly against the armrest. Not a spasm. A technique. "She's meditating," Anna breathed. "More than that," Oliver replied. "She's evolving." It was a peculiarly human insight. Earth's history was written in transformation, caterpillars to butterflies, tadpoles to frogs, children to adults. Humanity understood that sometimes what looked like death was actually rebirth, that chaos could be a necessary step toward something greater. The alien advisors, brilliant as they were, came from stable species. The Calvorians had looked the same for 10 million years. The Threll hadn't changed in 50,000 generations. They knew stability, constancy, predictability. They didn't recognize metamorphosis when they saw it. "Clear the room," Anna commanded, her voice cutting through the panic like a blade. "What? No." "The Empress needs," Zelam started. "The Empress needs space and silence," Anna interrupted. "Oliver analysis." Oliver stepped forward, finally breaking his stillness. His voice carried the quiet confidence of someone who actually understood what was happening, while everyone else was guessing. The Calvorian royal bloodline carries a dormant genetic sequence. Environmental stress or deep meditation can trigger it. Based on pre-contact Calvorian texts, which I studied during my cultural integration training, this is called the Ascension Trance. "Ascension to what?" Threll demanded. "To the next phase of Calvorian imperial evolution," Oliver explained. "It hasn't happened in 12,000 years because the previous emperors suppressed it with stability drugs, afraid of the temporary vulnerability. But Empress Zarathel discontinued those medications 6 months ago." "How do you know this?" Zelam's tone was equal parts accusation and desperation. "Because I asked her about the medication change," Oliver said simply. "She said she wanted to face her reign without suppressants, to be fully present. I didn't know what it meant then. I do now." Anna turned to the assembled advisors. "Everyone out, now, that's an order." "You're both human," Zelam protested. "How dare you presume to understand Calvorian biology better than—" The Empress's eyes snapped open, blazing with light that hadn't been there before. When she spoke, her voice resonated with harmonics that made the crystal walls sing. "They understand because they bothered to look. You saw catastrophe because you fear change. They saw transformation because they recognize it." She rose from her throne and her form had shifted. Taller, more luminous, her bioluminescence now steady and radiant. The wild patterns had resolved into something magnificent, a living constellation across her skin. "The humans have a saying," Zarathel continued, her gaze sweeping across her stunned advisors. "They say that which does not kill you makes you stronger. They understand struggle as a forge, pain as a teacher, transformation as necessary. They've survived extinction events, rebuilt from ashes, and reached the stars despite every disadvantage." She descended the throne steps, her presence now overwhelming. "When I fell into the Ascension Trance, you saw only danger. You would have interrupted the process, pumped me full of stabilizers, saved me from myself. You would have killed me trying to keep me alive." Oliver and Anna remained at attention, neither proud nor gloating. They'd simply done their job: observe, understand, protect. Not from external threats this time, but from well-meaning panic. But Oliver watched. the Empress said, meeting the human guard's eyes. He saw the pattern. He recognized the signs, and Anna trusted him enough to override every other voice in this room. They gave me the one thing I needed most: space to complete what I'd begun. Selim's chromatic skin flushed with shame. Your Majesty, we only wanted to protect you. I know, Zarathel's voice softened, and I love you for it. But protection isn't always intervention. Sometimes it's patience. Sometimes it's trust. Sometimes it's understanding that what looks like an ending is actually a beginning. She turned to face her full court. This is why I appointed humans to critical positions despite the protests. They've lived 1,000 crises in their short time among the stars. They've learned to see clearly when others panic. They've earned their place here not through tradition or longevity, but through understanding. The Empress placed a hand on Oliver's shoulder, then Anna's. Today my human guard saved my life by doing nothing, by understanding when action would have been catastrophe, by trusting observation over assumption. She addressed the room one final time. Humanity joined the Galactic Council only 50 years ago. They're the youngest, newest, most inexperienced species here, and yet they understood me better in my moment of transformation than advisors who've served the Calvorian throne for centuries. Oliver finally allowed himself a slight smile. With respect, Your Majesty, we've just had more practice with change. Humans are quite good at it. We've had to be. Indeed, Zarathel replied, her luminescence pulsing with warmth. And that, guard Oliver, is exactly why humanity's place among the stars is assured. You don't just survive change. You recognize it. You trust it. You protect it. The advisors filtered out quietly, humbled and contemplative. Anna and Oliver remained at their posts, resuming their watch as if nothing had happened. But everything had changed. The Empress was ascended, and the humans once again had proven that sometimes the newest perspective sees the oldest truths most clearly. And